welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we'll be talking about how to deal with hate and drama on Star Stable, no matter if it's with you personally, your club, or your friend. Please make note of this and or listen carefully to my advice, as I'm genuinely going to try to help you guys. So in Star Stable, in this video, I'm not going to be doing much because I know I usually train along with these kinds of ranting videos, but this is a serious topic, and if I was to train and, talk about this at the same time, I would stutter so much and continue going off track, so that would require millions of edits that I don't have the time for, and I'm just going to talk. So feel free to play this in the background while you're doing your homework, chores, whatever. First of all, you may be wondering, who is even classified as a hater, and what exactly is considered hate? Well, a hater is a label used to refer to people who hate using negative and critical comments and behavior to bring another person or group down by making them look and feel bad. These hurtful and negative comments can be delivered in person, online, or in texts and apps. Haters are often anonymous, but they can also be people who were once considered friends. This type of behavior is another form of cyberbullying, and in today's TED Talk, I will be specifically directing it towards the Star Stable community, but most of these tips can be applied to other online or even in-person situations where you're dealing with hate. Now, without any further ado, let's get started. Now, I want to start off by sharing the fact that hate is inevitable. Even the best, most popular clubs out there get a lot of hate and bad talk behind their backs. There's no way to avoid it, because people will exaggerate the slightest things in desperation to make you seem like the villain. This is not to scare you, it is just the truth. As kind as you may be, people will twist the words that come out of your mouth. If you get hate, please keep in mind that you are not alone. It is not worth it to give in to these haters. Honestly, people who do stuff like this and purposely spread false rumors are just plain immature and don't deserve your precious time. Remember that there are people behind these screens who probably just don't have anything better to do, which is why they're writing these comments. In fact, I think that you should feel honored that they're taking the time out of their life to specifically write hate to you out of all the people that they could have chosen. So now moving on to my tips. First of all, ignore and do not get involved. If it's something dumb that you don't think deserves the effort of a reply to, then simply don't. If it's hate targeting your club, you may encourage your members to ignore it and not engage as well, because not everyone is good at monitoring their emotions, and you don't want to risk your member lashing out at someone. The biggest source of hateful comments on the internet is trolls, which are profiles created purposely to spread these controversial or off-topic content and provoke responses while remaining anonymous. These are the bullies of the web, and we need to counter them. But in order to do so, we need to recognize them first. So here are some of the things to look out for to identify these trolls on the internet. If their username is inappropriate, irrelevant, or not descriptive, their profile pictures are like memes and stuff like that, they barely have any followers or posts, and if the person is sending you hate, and they are someone who's like this, then you'll be better off by blocking them immediately. Blocking people may be slightly more difficult if you're dealing with someone who is in your online life on a day-to-day basis. But if the person regularly tries to pull you down, then maybe it's not worth keeping them in your life anyways. Hate is a heavy load, and it is not your job or responsibility to carry it. If someone comes at you with hate, you have the option to walk away and block them. Lots of people hate solely for the purpose of gaining attention and recognition, so you should never feed it to them. You see, there's a huge difference between constructive criticism, which is helpful advice, and just downright rudeness. It is okay, 100%, for someone to have a different opinion than you, or for them to say that they do not like something about you or your club, maybe. Like, if you're actually being disrespectful, they have the right to tell you that. This may feel a little bit hurtful, sure, but you can learn something from them. However, when it comes to the point where they're intentionally trying to hurt you, you do not need them to be a part of your world. Do not post that you're being targeted. This is a mistake that I have personally made and I see happening all the time. But do not post that you are being attacked. Like, don't post screenshots, don't repost Instagram stories, whatever. Because that will only draw more attention to the troll, which is what they are looking for. Do not give them that satisfaction and allow for potentially more people to turn to their side. There is no requirement at all that you have to allow them to rant or insult your every being. In fact, you can delete their comments and then block them from contacting you completely. All you have to do is hit the button, tap the screen, and just wave goodbye to them, moving on. That is a good mindset to have, because their hate is their issue. They can keep the negativity to themselves. This way, your focus gets to be on the goodness of creating a joyful life for yourself, a successful club, something you can be proud of, whatever it is that you're working towards. Haters should not get to weigh you down. So that is only one way that you can choose to deal with the hate. Then the second option, which is to be mature and answer them in a sincere way. Sometimes, though, a lot of people feel like they have to defend themselves against the accusations and explain themselves, unlike the first option, which was to simply ignore them. Depending on the situation, I highly recommend that you use this strategy instead of ignoring the situation entirely, because sometimes when you ignore these issues, it just grows and you may come off as guilty or just not wanting to face the situation. People may say to resist the urge to respond because it only draws attention and stokes the fire, but sometimes it is definitely necessary to respond. This is a method to use when you're receiving hate formally, if that makes sense, like through a letter, an email, etc., where they're kind of being mature about it, but also rude. So I know it's cliche to say so, but you have to be the bigger person here. Remain calm and 100% do not overreact. Do not allow yourself to be dragged below onto their level as well. Always challenge the message specifically and not the person who's spreading it, because that just makes you even worse than them. So prove yourself to that message, specific points that they're calling you out for. Like, for example, if someone, right, someone that I knew was to say, oh, Dangerous Sisters is so bad because the owner is so immature and she kicks out random people just because she feels like it, right? So instead of attacking that person who sent the message personally by saying something like, oh, you're so ugly, well, you're so bad, when you were in Dangerous Sisters, you were so inactive, and you're only saying this because you were removed from the club or something. Instead of saying that, I'm going to counter exact points they made in their message by saying, I would never kick someone out just because I felt like it. There are always two sides to the story that you have to understand before you hate like this. I would say something like that. That would probably be the better option. Use the facts and the data that is present to call out the false things. As long as you know what you're saying is true, that's all that matters. You should never lie. Keep in mind that anything you say, though, can be used against you. If not immediately, eventually it will come back to haunt you. So even if you feel like lashing out at them and insulting them, do not do it. When you're mad, communication is not very pleasant, so I wouldn't recommend replying to this type of hate until you settle down a bit. Be mature about the situation, always, and write them an honest response to what they said. Make sure that your grammar and spelling is correct so that you seem as mature as possible. And if you can, reply privately. Admit to and learn from your mistakes if you did do something wrong and they did call you out on it. Let the people hating know that you are aware that you did something incorrectly, and then assure them that you will not make that mistake again. Make sure that you remain respectful throughout, and avoid a sarcastic or impolite tone in your messages. Like, for example, if someone was telling me that, let's say, I'll use the same example as before. So if they're telling me that I was kicking people out just because I felt like it, right? And what if, let's say, I did kick someone out just because I felt like it? So I will admit to that, right? In my response, I will say, yes, I am aware that I did kick those people out because I felt like it at the time, but let's pretend that this happened like a year ago. So I would say like, however, this was a year ago and I have improved as an individual, and I like recognize that I was not doing the right thing previously. I'm very sorry. If I had the second chance, I would change my actions, say something like that. But be respectful, because if you're not respectful, then they're going to pay more attention to your tone than your actual response and message, and they're going to have more to attack you with. Then the third point or option, which is to kill them with kindness. So it is definitely okay to respond back nicely. This is a fun method when the person who's hating is just being very aggressive and overly immature, and their insults are just plain dumb. Let's be honest, we don't know what the other person is going through either. Being positive back and not returning that negative energy could make a huge impact in how they feel about you. It may even make them regret what they're saying and lose their attitude. You can make light off the situation as well by joking about it. A trick that I personally learned pretty soon into my career as a club owner, server owner, and YouTuber was to stop taking things too seriously. I have a couple of close friends with whom I sit and actually read the negative comments with that are written about me, and we just have a good laugh. To be honest, as sad as it sounds, I'm really used to hate at this point, so I just find it funny. And I respect the fact that they're taking lots of time out of their day just to insult me. Like, out of all the other YouTubers that they could choose, they insult me when they have no reason to. It's hilarious. Make the most of these things and turn it around. So for example, I can easily turn these useless comments into a video of me just reading them and joking around with these comments. Even celebrities can't help but laugh at some mean comments when they don't take the hate personally. Talk to your community, and you're going to realize that everyone is dealing with hate in one way or another, and if they haven't dealt with hate yet, they're going to deal with it sooner or later. Listening to others' stories remind you that everyone is facing this in today's world, which makes it easier to deal with, because you realize that it truly isn't personal, no matter how personal it seems. People simply hate for the sake of hating. Now moving on to some instances, specifically relating. Now moving on to some instances, specifically relating to Star Stable. Sometimes I know that hate, like, sometimes from a first-hand experience, I know that hate causes members to leave the club. It is common, but not something that is necessary to weep or feel down about. In fact, you could even be thankful. If a member leaves immediately due to just a little bit of hate, it is clear that they were not very loyal to begin with, as loyal members should stick with your club through thick and thin. Another instance of where you will commonly receive hate is from the members that you remove from the club. If they do lash out afterwards, that just proves how immature that they are. Someone who is mature should understand that and move on. I've been removed from clubs before, I admit, and it's normal. It's nothing to be ashamed of. But did I report my situations to SSO drama pages? No. Did I attack those clubs on an anonymous account? No, definitely not. In that case, though, you can just ignore it. Acknowledge the fact that the only reason they're hating is because they were removed, and they're searching for reasons to hate on you, not because they actually dislike the club. Or else why would they have joined in the first place? If they try and spread these false rumors, ignore them. Try and make sure, though, that they would have nothing else to base rumors off of. Be aware that not everyone in the club may be trustworthy, and they could all possibly turn on you at some time. So make sure that your club chats are always kind and do not contain drama of its own, so that there's no reason for anyone to potentially attack your club. Things that are said privately in club chats hardly ever stay in club chats, so keep drama out of it just in case. It's better safe than sorry. Focus on things that you can change, like keeping the club going strong regardless of hate and such, instead of things that you can't change, like who ends up leaving the club. Think positively, because receiving hate can be a bonding period for your club and bring you all even closer together. To me, the members' kind words of comfort and encouragement really warms my heart and shows me who my real friends are in times of need. So all in all, remember that these so-called haters are just behind a screen. Our screens, no matter what platform you're on, whether it be Star Stable, Instagram, YouTube, whatever you choose to incorporate it as, distort reality. Understand that these haters, in most cases, are people who are leading unfulfilled, sad lives, who want to vent out their frustration by blasting random strangers. Think about it. Would a person who's living a happy life hide behind the screen of anonymity and spend their time being mean to some random person on the internet? Should we value and take the opinions of these lowlives seriously? Absolutely not. People will choose to say the rudest, meanest things when they're behind a screen, even though they would never, ever in a bajillion years say them to you in person. People are just jealous that you're experiencing more success than they ever will in their lifetime. You cannot please everyone, please know that. These types of experiences can be good and teach you how to deal. Try your best to not take it personally or waste a second longer on it. Instead, use it to shape you into a better person. Keep pursuing your goal, regardless of hate and projection. Keep offering those discipline lessons. Keep learning, keep writing, keep drawing, keep doing what you do best. I hope that the tips that I have shared with you today will help you deal with your own hate. Remember that you are not alone and you will get through this. I love you all so much. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.